there, Eric again, and this time we are talking about one fundamental and essential skill in digital literacy, and that is using your fingers to input data into a computer. And still surviving many years is the keyboard and keyboarding. Typing into a computer, putting letters into a computer to code, to write documents, to play games, what have you. The keyboard is still the main way humans interface with computers, and we are going to improve our skills because, you know, a lot of people may say, like, oh, typing is kind of a tedious thing. Why do we have to practice typing? It's very, I don't know, it doesn't take a lot of brain power. But the truth is, the more time you spend seriously trying to improve what's called touch typing, which means typing without looking at the keyboard, you will save hours, months, days in your life because you will spend less time putting information into a computer. Just in your college career, writing reports, sending emails, writing texts. A lot of us do this with our thumbs on our phones, but if you're going to type a long report, you're going to sit down at a keyboard and just putting 10, 20, 30 hours of practice into touch typing will save you a lot of time in the long run. So, we're going to do that. That's why we're practicing our touch typing. All right, here we have our keyboard. Does anyone know this style of keyboard, this English keyboard, is called the QWERTY keyboard. QWERTY is the layer of the keyboard, the style, the layout of the keyboard, because in the upper row, what we're seeing here, QUETRY, the upper part of the upper left part of the keyboard is called QWERTY. And that's why we call this layout the QWERTY layout. It is this layout because of these old typewriters. Right? If we pull this up and take a look at this, you'll notice that there's these metal levers that come out and slap the page. And he's also using a QWERTY keyboard. Well, the keys, these little levers that come out and slap these things here, if we hit two of them that are next to each other at the same time, they might get stuck. And actually, I've had this experience because I've actually used one of these when I was really young in elementary school. So we have to arrange these levers into ways that the keys that we don't use a lot together are next to each other. So QWERTY was made so we don't get levers stuck on an old typewriter. So Q and W are next to each other. We don't use those keys a lot, right? But we end up being that it's very inefficient. It's an inefficient way to do a keyboard. Because if you notice here, we also have something called the Dvorak layout. And that is optimized to keep your fingers close and not moving a lot, hitting the keys we use most, like the vowels A, E, I, O, and U. We don't have to move our fingers a lot. Some people actually practice using the Dvorak keyboard, but you don't see it very often. We're still using QWERTY from old mechanical keyboards, right? So from this, we start to learn where to put our keys, our fingers, without looking. So we have our main keys, and we have what's called the home row. Home row is where we rest our fingers, and we should know, without even having to think, closing our eyes and resting our fingers and finding that home row, because right in these little fingers here are going to go on F and J, F, J, F, J. And you're going to find those little bumps on the keyboards. There's little bumps like a braille, and you could feel them with your index fingers. You can feel around on them, and that's where your front fingers go. And then your other fingers go out there. So FJ, and then DK, SD, A, and colon, right? It goes just like that. And you should rest your palms on the keyboard, and your thumb could go right above the space bar. Practice getting this position before you start drilling your typing. Practice closing your eyes and finding the home row. Practice closing your eyes, using your two index fingers, your two pointing fingers, and finding those little bumps on the keyboard again and again. Just that simple act will help you when you're training to become a better touch typer. Do not look at the keyboard. The more, it's going to be a little bit frustrating at first, but do not look at the keyboard. It's very important. When you get really fast, you start to look something like this. This is somebody typing at 140 words per minute. Right? Super fast. And they're not looking at the keyboard. They're thinking about what they're typing. Right? In the future, we might have some other way to input data into a machine. We might have more text, speech to text, where you talk to your computer. But still, that's not very perfect. We still makes a lot of mistakes. Like if you ask Google or Siri something, they might make a mistake and not understand you properly. So, for at least, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, probably a lot longer, typing is going to be the main way we're going to input information into a computer. So that's why we're practicing it now. And we are going to practice together using a kind of typing course that I'm going to show you how to do in another video. But from this video, please remember, as you start to learn how to type, first thing, remember and think and feel and be able to find that home row without looking at your keyboard. Find those home keys, FJ, with your index fingers. Find that nice position where it's nice and comfortable without looking. And above all else, do not look at the keyboard when you start to train in touch typing. It's very, very important.